prayer is in the revelation equation. So prayer is still important, but beyond it, decision making is in the success equation. So I prayed. I'm sure you prayed too. We probably will have different prayer topics. Mine was about good health. Mine was about wisdom. Mine was about God give me life. Take evil out of my way. But when it comes to how to put things together and ensure that we run a good year, a lot depends on me, much more than the prayers. So the prayer gives you guidance, and the good word says that faith without works itself is dead. And the last time I checked, China doesn't know prayers. They know strategy. They know science and technology. They know planning. They know discipline. They know how to build systems that deliver success. So 90% of people will not reach their full potential. Though they talk about success, they pray about success, they imagine a better future. But once they don't have the discipline to step away from habits and thinking patterns that have stopped them or that have held them down all these years, without pursuing discipline, without pursuing principles, without having the necessary effort that makes success, without planning, without setting goals, a lot of them will talk about success, yes, but not much will change for them. I pray by the end I got muted a moment ago. I don't know if you can still hear me. Okay. %90 of people may not see a lot of success in 2026, though they talk about success, though they imagine it, not much would happen to them because they are not ready to step away from thinking patterns that held them down, from indiscipline that held them down, from lack of planning that held them down. I'm sure by now someone is busily saying, if only you know where I am coming from, if only you know how much I have nothing, you'll not just be giving me raw motivation. Well, taking personal responsibility for all of your predicaments, I didn't say some of them, all of your predicaments is the beginning of your maturity. Because I have heard people say, if only you know where I'm coming from, my friend, you are not the only one with a background that doesn't have much. You are not the only one with a background with nothing much. A lot of people who you see today to be successful guys have mostly come from similar backgrounds that you are complaining about. And I always say bad luck is not a preserve of anybody. So whether things are okay for you or with you or not, a lot will be dependent on you. And in the next few minutes, I'll be sharing a few thoughts with you that may simply put you back on the right track to make 2026 a successful year. Let me cast your mind back in retrospect a bit. On December 31, 2024, you had resolutions, you prayed. How much of what you said you were going to achieve in 2025 have been achieved? How much of it have been achieved? In other words, a lot will not change until you change. People say, if only you know how bad this economy is, prices of things are high. The economy is bad. You blame everybody and everything but yourself. Well, the last time I checked, the same boiling water that softens the potato also hardens the egg. So that same bad economy, that same bad politicians, that same bad father or mother or wife or husband of yours, a lot more people have made so much success. Most of us here are looking into the future with one of two beliefs. You're either looking into the future with apprehension or with anticipation. You're either looking into the future at the moment, either with apprehension or anticipation. Now, who has anticipation into the future? The one who have made plans. Which plans? I'm going to share a few thoughts with you. Who have set goals, who have simply built the future and waiting to walk into it. He looks into the future with a lot of anticipation, a lot of hope, a lot of joy. But there is also another that is walking into the future with a lot of apprehension. What if this happened? What if that happened? What if that happened? We are all walking into one of two kinds of future. Either a future well designed and planned, or a destination that you may get to, driving what you did not dream about driving, sleeping at places that were not in your plans, eating what was not part of you, wearing what you did not plan to wear. Each man is the architect of his own future. I always say, each man is the architect of his own future. There's really no good future waiting for anybody. So that when you leave the future to chance, chances are you'll be disappointed. You won't like what you will end. But a good thing about life is that we have the power to change, the power to access information, the power to make decisions. Now, we all go the direction we face because direction determines destination. You may not be able to change destination overnight, but here is what you can change: direction. Once you change direction, you are guaranteed a new or a better destination tomorrow. So we are going to start this session by accepting personal responsibility for a lot of the things that will happen to us in 2026. Yes, we pray that God give us life. God shows us the way, removes evil from our way. But aside that, we are fully in charge. Attitude is a product of belief. I don't know what you believe about 2026, but for those of you who have done some good planning, apparently have anticipation into the future of 2026. Now, let me break 2026 down for you, which is 1 year. And we all hope and wish that we have a good year by December 31. Well, just a reminder, there is nothing such as a good year or an effective year except the sum of 12 effective months. So your effectiveness in January, in February, in March, in April, in May, in June, in July, in August, in September, in October, November, December, then you have an effective year. So there's nothing called an effective year except the sum of 12 effective months. Guess what? What makes an effective month? 4 or 5 effective weeks. Guess what makes an effective week? 7 effective days. You know what makes an effective day? 24 effective hours. You know what makes an effective hour? 60 effective minutes. And what makes an effective minute is 60 effective seconds. So that your effectiveness, minute, second by second, that culminates into having effective minutes that build effective hours, that culminates into effective days, and 7 of that will constitute an effective week. And 4 or 5 of those effective weeks then will constitute an effective month. And when you sum up 12 of such effective months, then you have an effective year. And so our effectiveness for 2026 actually started yesterday. Like I said, beyond the prayer, I prayed and I believe that 2026 will go well. I'm not a prophet of doom. A lot will not happen until you make decisions, you make plans, set goals, and commit to them. So those thoughts that I'll be sharing with you today range from how to set goals in various arenas. And I have heard people, as a strategy teacher, I go about conducting strategy sessions for organizations. Indeed, I've been booked for more than 20 companies already to do January, February, March, to help them do strategy sessions. And proud to my meeting them, you find organizations having wishful thoughts, and they call it goals. Goals that are not specific, goals that we cannot measure, goals that are not actionable, goals that we cannot measure, goals that do not have time bound. You just have wishful thoughts. In the year of 2019, one of the churches invited me to speak at their national convention. When I started, I asked, how many of you set goals for the year and achieved them? And I saw a few hands. I said, God bless you. But how many of you set goals but couldn't achieve those goals? I saw hands too. And I said, God bless you too. My problem is those who did not set goals. And so when the year came to an end, they were not in a position to know whether they had accomplished their goals or not. And those are the problems I have those are the people I have my challenges or problems with. Because if you set goals and you miss them, you will go back and analyze or find out why you missed those goals. But the challenge is, if you never set the goals first and foremost, then you are not even in a position to tell whether you had accomplished them or not. So for those of you who will be setting goals on money, for instance, this year, I don't want to hear by the end of 2026, I want to be rich. What constitutes riches to you? How much money do you want to make? I want to be in good health. Is that a goal? What constitutes good health to you? Because if you don't define what constitutes good health, then chances are that whether you are in good health or not, you may not even be aware. So after going through the goals, as I'll be sharing some thoughts with you, we will also learn that there's a difference between goals and objectives. If I set goals to lose weight by XYZ number, I must have objectives as to what to do in order to achieve those goals. i.e., will I hit the gym 2 times a week or 4 times or etc.? And those goals that have been set, whether they are accomplished or not, then you get to know because you didn't do A, B, C, D. So my problem is not those who set goals and miss them, but those who do not set the goals and only rely on prayer, on God's guidance, and hope that by December they will constitute something. Prayer is in the revelation equation, not in the success equation. Decision making, understanding how things work is what is in the success equation. Now, let me give you a few reasons why you would want to set goals, for instance, to be financially successful. I shared some of them last year. Why must I set goals to make financial success, for instance? for a few reasons. Number one, because you are tired of living an average life. You are tired of every day being hit by crisis and not knowing what to do. Are you not tired of the embarrassment when your children come for school fees and you have to negotiate with the school to wait a while? Are you not tired of nonsense? Aren't you tired that you're unable to take your family on a holiday and you have to lie or give excuses? Aren't you tired that the good things of life, you can't have them to create a little comfort for yourself? Desire, ambition is the beginning of all great accomplishments. I hear people say, money is not everything. I agree with you. In fact, I tell people a lot, anytime I hear the word time is money, and I say, no, time is life, and life is bigger than money. So we can't reduce time to money, for instance. So I'm not saying money is everything, but you and I know that it makes life much, 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 much easier. A lot of the chaos, a lot of the brokenness, how broke you were before the beginning of 2025, and you are still broke at the end of 2025, and probably broke at the beginning of 2026. A lot of them have very little to do with where you are coming from. A lot of them have very little to do with what your predicaments have been. And folks, if you care to know, nobody cares about your success, your story until you win. I'll say that again. Nobody cares about your story until you win. If only you know where we are coming from. And I was born in a village. You think you're the only one who was born in a village? You're the only one who was born into a poor family. All of us are coming from that kind of a background. But at that point, we got tired of lack, of poverty, of not being able to supply basic needs. We got tired, and we have to get up and make concrete decisions and plans. Like I said, your chaos have very little to do with your background. It have a lot to do with your lack of discipline, your lack of consistency, your lack of planning. It have more to do with that. But I had always argued that if an individual's financial situation have more to do with our personal philosophy than the economy of Ghana or the economy of the world. For those of you who are listening to me from outside Ghana, I'm going to say that again. Your personal welfare, your financial well-being at the moment is more of a reflection of your philosophy, much more than the economy. I heard something from one of my distant mentors who is now late, Jim Rohn. So I decided to try it myself. I went to speak at a seminar and I asked all my audience to give me reasons they have not yet made success in their lives. And people wrote a lot of things. The economy is bad. I was born into poverty. My parents didn't send me to school in time. The business I started failed, and my friend was not honest with me. My business partner duped me. An inexhaustive list. But as I went through the list with them, I discovered something, that there was one thing missing from the list. That one thing is the word me, me. They forgot to add, I am the reason I am where I am now. So I said, sorry, I think there's something wrong with your lists. You wrote the economy being bad, inflation, and your parents didn't do this, and your teachers did that. You forgot to add the number one person who is the main reason you are where you are now, yourself, me. Because maturity only begins when we take personal responsibility for all, I didn't say some, for all of our predicaments. So that missing link is a reason I say that your present financial or success status is more of a reflection of your philosophy, much more than the exogenous, because all of them are external. The external factors you see or find around yourself. In my view, the second reason you must seek to be financially stable and, for that matter, independent, one of them, no matter how trivial or laughable it may sound, I call it revenge. I love that one. Sweet revenge. People who doubted you, people who insulted you in the past, be it your family guys or your classmates or people in your neighborhood, name it, who called you names and doubted if you were ever going to amount to anything at all. It is time to prove to them that after all, you could make it. I know we run a very communal society in this part of the world where you are supposed to be each other's keeper, where the poor believe that the rich owes them something. Prince Kofi Amwabin said something on the national television that shocked me. He said his family head, I'm talking about the founder of the now defunct UT Bank, Prince Kofi Amwabin. He said something that surprised me. He said his family head called him and said, Kofi, the money God has for the entire family, he decided to pass it through you. And so don't forget to distribute the money amongst everybody. You see the philosophy? Attitude is a product of belief. So somebody believed that God created members of his family, selected one of them to be successful. And when he becomes, he must make sure that he distributes the wealth to everybody else in the family. So attitude being a product of belief, that's a person who will go to bed believing that his brother, his nephew, his uncle, his father, his son has already made enough success. Therefore, he doesn't need to have one. My third reason why you must make good success. My mentor, Jim Rohn, said his own mentor called him and said, Jim, can you set a goal to be $1 million rich man? Set goals to make millions of dollars? He said, wow. Set goals to have millions of dollars? That is beautiful. How do I do that? Then his mentor asked him, do you know why? And Jim Rohn said, must you tell me why I should make enough money? I know already. I know what money can do for me if I make enough. And the mentor said, what will money do for you? So it will help me see to my needs. The mentor said, no. That is not the number one reason why I want you to set goals to make millions. Let's start from $10 million. That's not why I want you to make $10 million. The reason you must make that money is what it makes of you. I'll say that again. By the time you would have finished creating that kind of money, it will no longer be about the money, but what you would have become. The skills you require, the networks, the communication skills, the businesses you would create. By the time you make that kind of money, what it makes of you becomes more important than the money. So much so that even if all of the monies you have created was denied you or taken away from you, because of what is made of you, you are still in the position to create it all over. Today is the 3rd of January. Do you know that if the world's resources, all of the world's resources, were brought together and distributed fairly amongst the over 8 billion people in the world? So you take resources from everyone, the rich, the middle class, the poor, bring all of them into one basket and make sure you have an even distribution amongst everybody. If that was done today on the 3rd of January, by December of this year, many of the people who were broke before the resources was given to them will go back to being broke. And many of the people who would have made enough money before the monies were taken from them and distributed will make the monies back. What do you think makes the number one difference? Because the successful, the rich, know something that the poor does not know. That is why even if you strip them naked, they still know how to turn themselves around, and all the resources will go back to them. Because success, in my view, is not even something you chase. No, we don't chase success. In my candid opinion, we attract success. Success is very much like a butterfly. You can't quite catch it. The more you chase it, the more it flies away from you. Instead, you focus on building a beautiful garden, and the butterflies by themselves will fly into your garden. In other words, become an attractive person in the year 2026. Success is looking for a good place to be. It doesn't like recklessness. It doesn't like lack of discipline. It doesn't like indiscipline. It doesn't like lack of planning. It doesn't like lack of focus. It doesn't like lack of consistency. So I don't know what skills you are willing to get in this year, 2026. And I normally say that today, thank God, we have University of YouTube, University of Google. I am a perpetual student in these two universities, University of YouTube, University of Google, learning new skills every day in order to sell or exchange for value. Money is more of an exchange for value than time. I hear people say money is time, and I say no. Money, time is money. I say no. Time is life. If time was about money, let me create this simple analogy to you. If time was all about money, why does your security officer that does 12 hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following day, why does it get paid a tenth, if not a hundredth, of what your CEO takes? Think about it. But your CEO comes to work after 10 a.m. and leaves before 4. Who is giving more time to the organization? Is it not the security officer? Why do we pay the CEO 10, 20, if not 100 times the security officer? Because the CEO is selling value. Yes, I agree, it takes time to create value. But folks, as much as it takes time to create value, value is what the world rewards much more than how much time you have. So we all have 365 days from January 1, which is already 3 days old. The year is already 3 days old. From January 1 through December 31, we all have same amount of time, 365 days. But by December 31, some people will be utterly successful financially, relationship-wise, health-wise, spiritual growth-wise, etc., whilst others remain the same. What is it? Has God given more of hours in the day than others? No, we all have 24 hours. I'm sure you are familiar with that beautiful story. I don't know whether it's actually hypothetical or true, but it's a story that motivates me a lot. How a ship got broken down on the high seas. And engineer after engineer will try to fix the ship and they will not be successful. Some spend days, weeks to fix the ship and the engine will not respond. Until this guy who had fixed ship nearly all of his life arrived. And all he needed to do was to hit his hammer on an object, turn some bolt and nut, and within 6 minutes, the ship came alive. And everybody was happy. They were eulogizing him. The euphoria was quite on the high. He left, and the chief accountant of the shipping line wrote to him, "Can we have your invoice so we pay you? Can you send us your bill?" And the guy sent $20,000. The accountant said, "What? Are you okay? Are you crazy? We were there. We witnessed. This thing took you just 6 minutes to fix. How did you come about $20,000? Can you give us a breakdown of your bill?" And the gentleman gave a very beautiful breakdown. He said, $1,000 for tightening a bolt, what you saw me do. 19,000 for knowing where to tighten. Now, are you paying or not? Because you brought several other engineers who didn't know where to tighten. Knowing what to do, knowing how much value to create makes all of the difference. So the first goal I want you to set, first goal, even before we come to the financial goals, is to set goals on your personal development. Nobody will outgrow his level of personal development in terms of skill acquisition, professional development. You cannot outgrow that. And I'm not just talking about going to get information, which is knowledge and not skill to solve problems. Nobody outgrows that, whether it is skills or business knowledge, how to move things around. Nobody will outgrow that. Folks, a lot of the good things we want out of this life is on the higher shelves. Higher shelf means you need to stand on some books to reach those goodies. A higher shelf means you need to stand on some workshops to reach those goodies. A higher shelf means you need to stand on some information in order to reach those goodies. A higher shelf means you need to stand on some quality strategic networking and relationship building in order to reach some of those goodies. But not by remaining in our bedrooms and wishing for them. So first goal for the year, how much new skills do you want to acquire? Sometimes the skill is not far from you. The skill is embedded in what you do. So I am a strategy expert, and every time I'm acquiring new skills, how do we use knowledge of balanced scorecard to track the performance of strategy? I have to learn that over time. So sometimes the skill is already embedded in what you are already doing, because on my last check, the difference between average and excellence is simply attention to details. The difference between average and excellence is attention to details. There's a vehicle called Opel. I hope if you drive Opel, you don't have a problem with me. There's a vehicle called Opel. A saloon Opel vehicle has 4 tires. The sitting capacity is 5 persons. It has an engine in it. If you sit on that vehicle from Accra to Tema, it will most probably take you to Tema. Do you know if you're also sitting on Maybach Mercedes-Benz from Accra to Tema, same 4 tires, same 5 seating capacity, it also has an engine in it. It will also send you from Accra to Tema. Why is the price of Mercedes, Maybach, to be specific, 200 times the price of Opel? Because the manufacturers of both vehicles acted differently. One paid attention to details, one only averagely met minimum requirements. Attention to details. We have heard people say, and if I say the word we, I mean we are the Institute of Leadership and Strategy. I mean we are the HR Certification Center. Why is it that you people hardly make mistakes? Why is it that you are always on time? Why is it that blah, 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 blah? The reason is that we paid attention to details, diligence. We have competitors, just like every company has. But we check on our competitors, and sometimes they hardly can make a fifth, 1/5 of our student numbers. Are we any special? No. We only try to pay attention to details. And one of such ways to do that is your ability to to acquire skills that surround what you do. So how much new skill do you want to acquire? And I'm not just talking about knowledge. Knowledge is just when information is brought to your notice. Skill is your ability to solve a problem with what you have learned in the name of knowledge. The second area, of course, will probably be good health. And I've already talked about, if it is a goal, it must meet the acronym SMART. In fact, these days we call it SMART C. I'll explain the C. The goal must be specific, it must be measurable. It means that by the end of the year, whether you have achieved it or not, we must know. As I stand here, I know how much money I believe I want to make by December 2026. Now, even if I don't achieve it, the last time I checked, dreaming is not a crime. Nobody gets arrested for dreaming too high. But should I not even achieve what I said I was going to achieve, you normally are always better off on your way to where you want to go than if you never set a high goal. So I say that by the end of 2026, I want to make, let's say, $5 million. Then I end up making $4 million. Then I will now find out, why did I miss the $1 million? But guess what? If I never had the dream, had the goal of making $5 million, I will not go checking and looking for ways and means to achieve that, first and foremost. And chances are that even the 4, you say I have missed my goal. My goal is 5 million. I made $4 million. Okay, we are in Ghana. Let's speak. I want to make 50 million Ghana cedis. I ended up making 40 million Ghana cedis. If I never dreamt of the 50 million, the 40 million would have eluded me. Take my word. And even the 10 million I had missed, I would find out why I missed it. So the goal must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be actionable, it must be realistic, and it must be time-bound. Then we introduce a C, SMART C. The C is to take care of how realistic the goal should be, because many people hide behind realistic goals and then they end up setting very mediocre goals that doesn't require any stretching. Folks, if it is a goal, if it is a vision, it must scare and excite you at the same time. Yeah. A vision must scare and excite you at the same time. Before I wind down, I'll be giving you some 4 qualities of a vision, very briefly. So the first area of goal is your personal development and acquisition of skills. And remember, there must be SMART C goals. The second one is on your health, because without good health, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, medically, if you are not on your feet, if you can't think clearly, if you can't provide direction, if you are not in a good health, chances are you will not achieve a lot of the business and financial goals you'll be setting. I am not in your bedroom with you. I don't know what goals you have set on your health. In fact, I do not know your health conditions, whether it's a terminal disease or just lifestyle diseases. We have set some, we missed them 2025. Here is a fresh opportunity, a new plate, a new slate, clean sheet to do it all over again. Guess what, folks? In 2025, I paid for gym subscription twice. You know that 3 month subscription or 6 month. 2 times, I missed both of them. The first one I paid, I went 2 times. They didn't see me again. Meanwhile, I paid to cover 3 months. The second time I paid, I went once. And that's it. I didn't go again. I missed on those goals. But I asked myself questions. Going around looking for business and financial success if I am not in good health. So before 2025, that is up to 2024, I was doing my health checks once a year. Every year, I want to check the state of my heart, cholesterol, my kidneys, liver, prostate for those who are men, sugar, blood pressure, name it. Well, from last year, I've switched to twice now. So every 6 months now, because you want to know that you are in good health. One of the attitudes, negative attitude of Ghanaians is that we only go to hospital when we are sick. Or sometimes the situation becomes irreversible. Today, medical science have advanced, folks. Medical science have advanced. And God blesses you with some little money. There is hardly a health or medical problem you can solve today if you know it in advance. Then the third area. So beyond personal development, I'm just focusing on 4 areas, only 4. You can go and add many other goals as it suits you. But for me, I'm focusing on only 4 with you. First one, personal development. The second area of goal will be in your health. You want to set spiritual goals, depending on which deity you believe in, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, an atheist, whatever deity you believe in, you want to grow in your spirituality. Then, of course, the last one is financial and business goals. I hear people say, but there's no money anywhere. Yes, I've also made that statement once. I remember when I finished first degree, I was hungry for success. So I went to the offices of a few big shots in Ghana. One of them happens to be Prince Kofi Amoabin, founder of now defunct UT Bank. When I went to him, he asked me that popular question. Jeff, are you making some money? And I said, oh, no, sir. There's no money in the system. Everywhere is dry. The country is broke. The economy is bad. Then the guy collapsed with laughter. And I was wondering, are you not in Ghana? Don't you know Ghana is hard? Don't you know the system is difficult? After he paused, then he said, well, you just talk like all poor people do. There is no money, there is no money, there is no money. That is how all poor people talk. I said, how do you mean, sir? He said, take a seat and let's talk. So I took a seat. I'm talking about Prince Kofi Amoabin, then running Unique Trust Financial Services, that later became UT Financial Services and eventually UT Bank, and unfortunately, they crashed along the line. Then his office was around Trust Hospital at Osu in Accra. So he asked me to take a seat. Young man, do you know there are people who live in this country, Accra, Ghana, and they have up to 4 houses, and every night they are confused where to spend the night? I say, yes, I have heard stories like that, but I haven't witnessed one. Do you know there are people who have parked up to 6 vehicles in their homes, and depending on which function they are attending, they decide which car to go with? And I say, I've heard things like that. And that at the stroke of their pen, they can sign millions of cedis and they are Ghanaians. And I said, yes, okay, then let's change the language. There's a lot of money in the system, but you, Jeff, you don't have some. You see, they are not the same thing. Now, I've already said attitude is a product of belief. If I believe I can't make success because of all the harsh economic conditions, then I will probably not be taking actions in those directions that will give me the success. But when I also believe that there is a lot except that I do not have, I will immediately avert my mind, my attention to what then can I do in order to clinch some of these success. I'd always argue that questions are more important than answers. Now, I did not say answers are not important, but questions are more important than the answers, because answers are precipitated. Answers are premised. Answers are built on questions. Disagreeing with the status quo, disagreeing with the results is a beginning of leadership. You will not do anything about the situation if you are satisfied with the status quo. But by asking all the hard questions, why am I still where I am? Why can't I be better? Why can't I do more? Why do I have 24 hours? That guy also have 24 hours. Why is he making success and I am not making success? It is the questions that bring about the search for answers. So I always say leadership only starts when we disagree with the results. By asking questions, you start looking for answers because, folks, where you keep your focus is where you make your impact. I'll say that again. Where you keep your focus is where you make your impact. If you believe it is possible, it's probably possible and you can break through, because then you start raising questions and start looking for answers. But if you say, that is how everybody is, am I the only one? Listen, folks, we live in a country where we eulogize or we normalize failure much more than success. I'll demonstrate it to you in a bit. We normalize failure more than success. So you just finished university 2 years ago, and a colleague of yours, a mate back in school, like you were mate, called you and said, bro, how are you? So I'm doing well. Do you know, since we have finished school, I haven't gotten a job yet. Say, is that so? That is the system for you. That is how things are. And I am broke and I have nothing and nothing is working for me. I've attended interview and I start business and it's not working, blah, 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 blah. You are not surprised hearing these things. That's how we normalize failure. Let your colleague call you, your classmate call you. Do you know we have been out of school just 2 years ago? I launched a great job and I've been given a vehicle and I've been made a manager already in the last 2 years, etc. And the company have given me a bungalow. I said, hey, how? How is that possible? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you surprised with success? Or I finished university, I've started a business, I have grown XYZ in capital into XYZ profit, and you are shocked. Why are we surprised at success, yet we seem to have normalized failure? In other words, that is where you have fixed your mind. Your mind is more of why it will not work than why it will work. And to the extent that the battle is won in between our two ears, if you don't win the battle first and foremost in your mind that you don't deserve this, you deserve better, etc., chances are you're not going to. So when Prince Kofi Amuabeng laughed at me that I said there was no money in the system, and then he said, no, there's a lot of money, but you, Jeff, you don't have some. Then I asked him, where is money? That search through reading, through financial literacy, and I dare say that more than 90% of educated persons in the world, and let's even be specific about Ghana, more than 90% of educated persons have no knowledge about money. They are not financially literate. And I can't teach that on this platform, but just to encourage you that academic knowledge is not tantamount to financial knowledge, financial literacy. It's not tantamount. So, whilst I was consulting for Kempinski Hotel, the then CEO, Manish, made a statement to me that was quite embarrassing anyway. He said, Jeff, in your country, you people go to school a lot, but you do very little. Why? That was embarrassing to me because I just got hired as a consultant and I had put my academic credentials before the company and the rest. And this is the CEO say, in your country, people, he said a lot of people who come here for interview hold master's degree, but the output is very little. Why? And he's an Indian. So I imagine that the opposite is what is in India. Very little schooling, more output. Because our understanding of education is fundamentally flawed in this part of the world. Please, education goes way beyond sitting in a classroom. I'm sure you know that by now. So I started searching, educating myself on money. One of the first things I discovered in Emmanuel Olumide's book, Where Money Hides, is this. And I'm going to share 5 places money is hiding with you. And that I got from my search. I've already told you questions are more important than answers. Where is money hiding? Was the question I was asking. Because if money were leaves on trees, if government of the day were to declare leaves on trees as legal tender, by tomorrow morning there will be no tree having any leaf on the street of Ghana. In other words, money is definitely hiding somewhere. Where are they? Is money hiding? I'll share 5 with you, after which I'll just talk about the importance or the advantages of giving yourself stretching goals and challenges. And then we'll call it a day after taking your questions. Money is hiding at a few places. I'm sharing just 5 with you. The first one is the fact that money hides inside vision. Money hides in vision. Vision to do something. Now I'm going to give a very weird example. Very weird example. Let us assume that you just have a new baby and you have to make one of 2 decisions. Now, this example I'm giving is for you to extrapolate to bigger things. The example is not really, the concept is not about the example per se. You have a new baby and you decide to do baby screening or christening or naming ceremony. Because you decide to do a program, you have the vision to organize a ceremony. People come and they come with gifts, resources flowing towards that vision. What if you never decided to do a ceremony? All of those gifts may not come. Money hides inside vision. I remember very well, some years ago, I had a call. In fact, a call came to my secretary, and my secretary was not far from me at the time. I could eavesdrop on the conversation. This call came from a Nigerian organization called NUC, National Universities Commission, akin to our GTech in Ghana. Now, when they call, I could tell from my secretary's responses that it was a big deal. So I asked her to bring me the phone. This is some years ago. It's about 10 years now. So she brought me the phone. And the call was simply about how that organization in Nigeria was looking for a training institution in Ghana to train their leaders, their executives. And that they had called one other institution in Ghana, whose name I will not call because we are online, and that they didn't answer the phone call. They called a second institution in Ghana and they said they were going to call back and they never did. And so they went online and key in training institutions in Ghana. And our institution came up and they took our number and called. Well, folks, without wasting your time, a lot of dollars was paid in that transaction. Through that, I became a consultant to the Nigerian Ports Authority, Presidential Commission on Power, and then a private organization called JDPC, which is a Catholic Church created financial institution. Now, all of these organizations I am mentioning, 4 of them from Nigeria that I became a consultant to, some I actually facilitated trainings for, was simply because we had a vision to put an organization online. Resources flow the direction of vision. In the absence of vision, sometimes resources come and go and you do not even recognize them. And when I talk about resources, I'm not just referring to money. I'm also referring to people who can help you. Your potential helper can be very close to you, but because you are focused on no vision, when the helper comes, you are not even aware. Resources come and go in the absence of vision. Now, let me give you 4 qualities of a vision. Number one, if it's a vision, like I mentioned earlier on, it must scare and excite you at the same time. Why must it scare you? If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. I call it, stomach direction vision. Vision that can fill your tummy, but nobody is a beneficiary. It cannot benefit other people aside you. And life is about making impact on other people. That is why the vision must scare you. Anytime you think about it, you must skip a heartbeat. But it must also excite you. If it doesn't excite you, you are not passionate about it. Steve Jobs said the only way to do a great work is to love what you do. So the vision must scare and excite you at the same time. The second quality of a vision is that it must challenge your indecision, question your laziness. The vision must challenge your indecision. It must question your laziness and challenge your mediocrity. If it is a vision, it must do that. If it's a vision, it must focus your attention. Folks, too many things are fighting for our attention, just too many of them. In the absence of vision, the wind can blow you any direction. And like the saying goes, a ship without direction, a ship that sails without a direction, any destination is the right destination. And folks, if a ship is sailing without direction, do you know that every wind is a wind that is against you? Yeah. So sometimes the right wind or the wind will blow the right direction. But because you haven't first defined a direction, when the right wind is blowing, you know not how to take advantage of it. And if it's a vision, it must attract resources. I don't know how many of you have built your houses yet, but all it takes to build a house is to own a piece of land. That's all. Because you have a piece of land and a vision to build, when you get a little money, you know that you have to pay the cement seller. You know you have to pay the iron rod seller. You know you have to do, before you know it, sometimes the building comes up and you are not even aware. Am I the one that raised this building? How did it come? Because you had a vision. In the absence of that vision, the same resources came through your pockets, but you are not aware because you haven't given the resources any direction. The direction is the vision. My uncle, one of my most favorite uncles, who happens to be a professor, he's actually now an emeritus professor, is a past Director General of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, one Professor Edward Akaho. He told me a story, which I also later told staff of Newmont, the gold mining company, when they invited me to run a session with the managers. And the story was when he was a regular, ordinary staff of Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, he raised a three-bedroom house as a very junior officer. You know, like some 3 years after national service, that time. He later became the Director General, yes. He raised a three-bedroom house at that junior level. Then one Friday, he took his colleagues from the office to the building. He said, I am the owner of this building. The colleagues are like, how? Are you sure? Do you work at any other place aside working for Ghana Atomic Energy Commission? He said, no. Do you have any other source of income? The guy said, no. Then we don't understand because we are all we are all working. And my uncle said he told them, you all have this building too. You own the same building. And we're like, how? Do I own one? I don't have it. So you own it. The same monies that you blow about on Friday night, buying whatever and all of it, is the same money I go and put under my pillow. I give to the iron rod seller. I give to the cement seller. So even me, I'm also surprised that I own this building. So I shared the story at the training with Newmont's gold managers, and the one gentleman was courageous enough to stand up, and then the guy was just shouting. He said, God, I have 80 bedroom in my tummy. And I said, God be with you. That the next time you will not just resources flow the direction of vision. 4 quick qualities of a vision. It focuses your attention, it attracts resources. The first place money hides is inside vision. The second one is money hides inside gifts and talents. Money hides inside gifts and talent. Folks, I always say if it is your gift, it's your check. What do you do to a check? You present it to the bank. What does the bank give you back in return? Cash. But does the bank honor just any check? No, the check must qualify. The amount in figure must resonate with the amount in words. The check must be properly dated. And of course, the signature on the check must agree with the one the banker, the teller have on the bank's system on his computer screen. What do I mean? Not just any gifts will see the light of day. First, you must make attempt to discover what your gift is. I use the word discover, not decide. We don't decide our gifts, we discover them. It is only the manufacturer of a product that puts in the product the ability to function or to achieve its purpose. In other words, you don't decide whether the air conditioner blows cold air or not. You discover it and place a demand on the air conditioner to blow air. So the first thing is to know what is your gift. Number two is to acquire the skills that surround your gift. Folks, I am convinced that God gives gifts. He doesn't add skills. We acquire skills on earth. The third one is to nurture, to grow, to weed around, to water that gift and allow it to grow. The potential of everything is embedded in that same thing. That is how come when you drop an orange seed into the soil, it will grow more oranges. The potential of everything is embedded in it. Then a fourth one, of course, is to package and sell the gift. In 2009, the world was supposed to be in a global economic crunch. There was no money anywhere, people claimed. But folks, I always say that people are loaded with money the same way the spider is loaded with webs. But do people just bring out money? No, unless you put a value on the table. So in 2009, the world was supposed to be in a global economic crunch. That was the same year Michael Jackson of blessed memory announced a concert. The concert was christened This Is It. That was the name of the concert. They were supposed to sell a ticket for £70 to 1 million people. And he was supposed to do a 50,000-seater concert replicated in 20 cities. So he was looking for 1 million people. And when you multiply £70 by 1 million, that's 70 million pounds. The world was in a global economic crunch at the time. Someone was looking for 70 million pounds. The tickets was to sell for 6 months. The ticket got exhausted, finished in 2.5 months. I thought we said we were in a global economic crunch. There was no money anywhere. When someone put his gift and talent on the table, people brought out the money. 70 million pounds came out of people's pocket because somebody decided to put his gifts and talent, which he has nurtured, pruned, developed, sharpened, on the table. Unfortunately, he didn't live to deliver the concepts. He died before the date of the concept. But the concept is what I'm sharing with you, that money hides. Aside vision, money also hides in gifts and talent. I promise you 5 of them. So let's go. 3. Money hides inside problems. I hope we all know that by now. Disguised as problems is money right in there. And I normally say that the size of the problems you solve is the size of money or value you create. So that when you solve local problems, you're going to make local money. If you solve national problems, you make national money. When you solve regional problems, you make regional money. When you solve global problems, you make global money. More like somebody finding a cure to HIV/AIDS. Is it going to make money just from Accra, Ghana, or from my village where I'm delivering this lecture from, or only from, you know, from Ghana, or probably only from West Africa or the whole of Africa? The person is going to make money from the whole of the country. Money flows the direction where problems are solved. So what problem are we discussing? One of the greatest places where there are problems is our continent, Africa. Is it not ironical that the most praying continent in the world is Africa? Do you also know that the poorest continent in the world is Africa? I always say that the best way to measure the effectiveness of a system is the result it produces. The system here is we pray more than everybody. Why is our result the smallest? It means that prayer alone is not enough. Because if prayer was a recipe and a guarantee for success, then Africa should have the greatest of success. So after praying December 31, it's time to be disciplined. It's time to build systems. It's time to assess, to put in place strategy. It's time to plan. It's time to have the discipline to execute. The decision to execute. Money hides in problems. The next place money hides, folks, is that money hides in goods and services. Folks, you are always buying. You are always buying. I used to be like you too. I collect my income, be it salary or profit, and all I think about is how to buy a dress, how to pay, how to buy food, how to pay for airtime or credits, my pay rent. I pay everyone but myself. I'm always buying from people. I sell to nobody. I'm sure most of us have learned how the American government have closed down USAIDs across the world. So we were the consultant, or I was the consultant for the Ghanaian closure. I was one of the consultants for the Ghanaian closure. And so, I mean, the fact that you are closing USAID means that people are going to go home. And so we have to do a lot of outplacement service for the guys who are being relieved of their duties because the organization will be no more. And one of the workshops I did for them was financial literacy. And when I got to this point, that what are you selling? You are always buying. You are not selling anything. Somebody came to my office after the session to say, that one message I got from you, I have set up a selling chain. Sometimes you don't even need to be the manufacturer. You only have to be a middleman. Folks, you can't always buy without selling. You must sell something. Make a decision that this year, you are going to sell. Somebody will buy something from you and pay you money. Let me say this that will shock those of you who are Christians here. It's been 11 years now. 11 years. I've not prayed once for financial breakthrough. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a useless prayer. It's not important. I only need God to give me good health and wisdom, and I'll use my brains to make money. It's a useless prayer. Over the last 11 years, I haven't prayed for money. And by God's grace, I'm not doing bad at all. Folks, there is no money in prayers. There is money in selling goods and services. There's money in solving problems. There is money in having a vision and pursuing it. There is money in developing your talent and gift and selling it to the world. What prayer does is to give you direction, is to give you wisdom, is to give you good health in order to pursue them. So there is money, except that they are hiding at some places. And those places are what we are discussing now. Money hides, finally, in relationship building and networking. Folks, the more people you know, the more people know you, the more business you can do with them. The good news is that there are 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people. How many of them do you know? How many of them know you? Knowing you does not necessarily mean knowing you physically. This is Jeff, Kwame, Bassay. No. Knowing what you do, knowing the services you render. Because the more people know you, the more business you do. Folks, if you care to know, human beings as we are, we make decisions more on emotional considerations than logical considerations. I'll say that again. We make more decisions in this life as human beings as we are, more based on emotions than logic. Why do you buy from that shop? Oh, we go to the same church. Does it make sense? You go to the same church is why you buy from them. Why do you buy from that shop? We come from the same hometown. Does it make sense to you? We were mates in school. All of these things I'm saying, do they make sense? They don't. The logical reasons you will buy from that shop is that the price is good, the goods are of best quality. But 7 out of 10, 70% of the time, the decision you do business with somebody is because you have a good relationship with the person. Much more than the logical. I have consulted and trained for more than 250 organizations. Yes, 258 to be precise, companies went through me. Either we are developing their strategic plans for them, or coordinating their strategy sessions, or facilitating leadership training, or doing one consulting service or another in their performance management, their balance scorecard, their strategic plan, their corporate governance protocol, name it. 258. You want to know the good news or the shocker? I'm here to write one proposal. I don't write proposals. The proposals I've written are just for formality purposes, just so that we put it on our record that the consultant brought a proposal, but not we write a proposal, drop it, and we are doing follow-ups and chasing, will you give us the job? No. They all came from relationships. Building relationship with your customers, with people that you didn't know earlier on. I mean, creating networks with them, name it, 258. And these are not just roadside companies. By God's grace, we have been through Bank of Ghana, we've been through MTN, we've been through Absa Bank, Casapreco, Talo Oil, Newmont, name it. Most of them have been through. The person just got touch with you once. And once you engage us, once you attend any event of ours, we want to be sure we deliver quality service. You don't have to call us. We don't have to call you again. You will call us. We have had situations where companies will tell you, well, we have put out requests for proposal, but we are waiting for yours. You have put out requests for proposal. There are times where the date to submit had passed. The company said, we will make a decision. We are waiting till you bring yours. Relationship building, networking is the fifth place. The more people know you, the more people you know, the more business success you make. Good news. 8 billion people in the world. Guess what? I don't know 1% of them yet. What it means is that I have more business to do, to make, because I am putting in measures to make sure that I know more people and more people will know me. Folks, before we wrap up, I want to encourage you to set not mediocre goals, but goals that will stretch you, goals that will excite and scare you at the same time. If you are not able to achieve it by December 2026, it's still okay, because you are now going to sit down and do the analysis. Why did I miss this? What didn't I do right? What action did I fail to take, etc.? What that means is that it gives you more edge or more grounding, more insight to be able to achieve them the following year. Here are 10 quick qualities of setting stretching goals or having a great challenge worthy of your pursuit. Number one, a challenge develops mental toughness. A challenge develops mental toughness. In the absence of a challenge, you don't stretch yourself. I don't know of you, but I was born in a village. I was born in a village called Kwamikrom, behind Pando. And anytime I talk about being born in Kwamikrom, people say, that means you come from Kwamikrom. I was only born there. I come from Mepe, near Bato, and that's where I'm delivering this lecture from right now. I was born in a village called Kwamikrom, behind Pando in the Volta region. Anyway, Kwamikrom is now in the OT region. And as children who were even from a poor family, we'll go and steal somebody's mango. We skip the wall and steal and pluck off the mangoes. And when we see the owner of the house coming, we run and skip walls that we didn't know we have the ability to skip. Sometimes you skip the wall and go and stand afar and watch back the wall you just skipped and wonder, did I just skip that wall? Yes, you did. When there was a challenge, you stood up to it. Ask any pregnant woman to run, 5-month pregnancy. She will remind you of her pregnancy why she cannot run. You don't need to talk much. Just release a wild dog after her and see whether she will run or not. The ability to run is in her, except that she didn't find the right motivation. A challenge develops mental toughness. In the absence of a challenge, you don't toughen your mindset. The second quality of a challenge is that a challenge stands down fear. Yeah, a challenge stands down fear. When there's a challenge and you need to show up, fear disappears. I normally say fear is not even the absence, courage is not the absence of fear, it's confronting fear. You are scared, you are afraid, but you still do it anyway. And in that action, the fear subsides. Because I'm a leadership teacher, I interpret nearly everything around me from a leadership perspective. Have you ever driven through a long tunnel, like on the road? You are driving through a tunnel. We have very few tunnels in Ghana. When you go to other advanced countries, you can be driving through a tunnel for minutes, all right? But one of the tunnels in Ghana, the Tema interchange, what we used to call Tema roundabout, that links the Tema motorway, and then one leads to Aplau, one goes to Akosombo, the other goes to Tema Harbor. There's a short tunnel. When you are approaching the tunnel, you realize that it looks dark, and you are wondering, how do I go through this? As soon as you enter, the way becomes clear to you. That is the what it takes. That is what it means to take action. It stands down fear. The third quality of a challenge is that it inspires courageous acts. A challenge inspires courageous acts. We are in football season now. Yes, I know that Ghana is not in the AFCON, so many of you are not enthused about AFCON. If you care to know, the round of 16 starts this evening, the knockout stage. When you lose a match, you go home. Now, when you're watching football, have you realized that the moment a team is down by, let's say, a goal, and let's say that happens at the tail end of the first half, the moment they return to the second half of the match, you see a new style of playing. Sometimes that is when the players play their 5-star football, because they now have a challenge. If you don't equalize, you are going home. If you don't score them, you are going home. A challenge inspires courageous acts. Sometimes you know not what you are able to do until you are pushed. The hypothetical story is told of a king that announced, or let me tell the story well. A pond filled with predators. Crocodiles, snakes were in the pond. And the king will announce that anybody who could swim across this pond was going to have half of his worth. The morning of the contest came, and all the young men gathered on one side, one end of the pond, murmuring among themselves. Okay. Thank you, Paul, for your message. I will reveal your identity. So that Paul is a manager of one company that is still awaiting my proposal to come for their strategy session. Paul, we will do the needful. By Monday, you will have that proposal, and we are going to do the training for your guys. Okay. Let's go. So a pond filled with predators And anybody who could swim through the pond was going to have half of the king's worth. The morning of the contest came. All the young men gathered, murmuring among themselves, I don't want to die. I can see snake in there, blah, blah, blah. Well, as they were murmuring among themselves, before they know it, one guy was in the pond. Pa, 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 pa. The guy swam from one end to the other. He was lifted shoulder high. They were eulogizing him. Women were singing his praise. The euphoria was quite on the high. But whilst everybody was praising and acknowledging this guy for the great feat he had chopped, he was angrily asking, who pushed me into the water? It wasn't his initiative to get into the water. But now that he got pushed into the water, he needed to find a way to survive. And he did. Then the king announced that none of the predators in the water were poisonous after all. That they were all tamed, they were all injected, they were tamed, they couldn't harm anybody. They were only there to frighten the fearful. Then the king defined fear to them. The king said, fear is just an acronym that's FEAR. Forget everything and run away. Otherwise, false evidence appearing real. But I love the positive definition of fear. Face everything and rise. Folks, most of the good things in life are on the other side of fear. Most of the good things in this life are on the other side of fear. And until you can deal with that fear, chances are that you will not see those. A challenge inspires courageous act. In spite of fear, you act anyway. The fourth one is that a challenge tests your limit. A challenge tells how much you can do. Until you are faced with a real challenge, you don't even know yourself. You don't know what you can do. Folks, we have taken up some challenges in the past where you are wondering yourself, can I do this? But I always have one philosophy. Always show up. Show up no matter what. Even if you show up and you goof, you learn the lessons from it. One good thing about failure is that we now know what doesn't work. So I always say failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the foundation of success. Those who avoid failure also avoid success. Case closed. A challenge focuses your attention. In the absence of a challenge, your attention is diffused everywhere, spread out. You see this rays of the sun, we say, oh, the sun is hot, it's so scorching. The sun that is so diffused on all the planets of the earth, if God were to focus or concentrate the rays of the sun on only one country, it will be caught ablaze immediately. That's the power of focus. Follow one course until success is the acronym for focus. Follow one course until success. Consistency. You don't drop a seed of maize into the soil and every day you go and dig out and see whether it's germinating. No, you allow it to stay down there and get rotten and germinate and spring out. Consistency. The sixth one is the challenge builds self-confidence. Yes, one success in one area, build your confidence in another, in the next one, in that order. A challenge matures perspective. That's the seventh one. I'm giving you reasons why you must set stretching and challenging goals. Folks, the top is available, is open and available to everyone. Anybody who is willing to pay the price, there's a seat waiting for you. All it takes is to make a decision. I am tired of my present predicament. I want to do better than I'm doing. Like I always say that direction determines destination. If you can't change your destination overnight, change your direction overnight, and a new destination is guaranteed you tomorrow. A challenge demands superior execution. Number 8, a challenge demands superior execution. Number 9, a challenge calls for an indomitable spirit. A challenge calls for an indomitable spirit. Somehow, the spirit that comes into you to get things done because you have a challenge. In the absence of that challenge, you have no idea you have what it takes. And I love the last one. A challenge empowers freedom. A challenge empowers freedom. I made a statement earlier on that your present status is more of a reflection of your philosophy than the economy. Folks, there is too much averageness around. Too much averageness. Too much mediocrity. And I tell people, be careful who you compare yourself to, because the wrong comparison can actually be the basis for your mediocrity. The fact that you are taller than a dwarf doesn't mean you are necessarily a tall person, because standards are influenced by census. The standards around here are too weak. You are born, you go to school, you finish school, you write application letter, you get a job. And I'm not just talking about you. We've all been through that. You get a job, then you are paid your salary. What do we use the salary for? Because we don't even understand money. You use it to pay bills. The poor man's understanding of money is to settle bills. You pay all the bills, the money finishes, you go back and do same every 30 days. Then age 60, the system say we have lost, we have retired, you go and sit at home. There's an organization called SNIT who say we'll be giving you SNIT benefit. The rest is to wait for death to come for you. Is that all about life? No, it doesn't make sense. We didn't just come here to come and look for food to eat and go. We came here to also make impact. And I ask people, if God calls you today, can your children walk through? Will doors open because your children have mentioned your name, that I am the son of, I am the daughter of? Will your name open doors for your children? That is the impact. And that we don't achieve through mediocrity. We don't achieve through following the crowd. And 90% of the people who wish for success, who talk about success, but have no plan, no decision making, no focus, no discipline to see themselves through execution. A challenge empowers freedom. Sometimes all it takes is some 5 years of grinding. 5 years of grinding. And then you empower the future for good. Then after 60, health can be attended to. If I say attended to, because I said medical science have advanced. If God blesses you with a little money, you can solve nearly every problem. I'm not saying kill yourself in the name of work, but just some focus, some discipline buys your future. And these are the advantages you have when you make a different decision aside, or let me say, in addition to prayers, in addition to resolutions, in addition to just wishing that the year will be a good one. 12 months and 2026 will soon come to an end. Nothing is going to change for you until you change. I can guarantee you that government is not going to do any better just for you. I can guarantee you that the world will not just agree that you should be successful. I can guarantee you that we are not going to have 30 hours in a day. It will still be 24 hours in a day. I can guarantee you that the sun will always rise and it will set. Day and night will come. Nothing is changing about the world. We need you to change, and a lot of things will change for you. We'll take just a quick break. We are supposed to end this session at 4 o'clock. It's 19 minutes to 4 o'clock. We'll take just a quick break. I'm told there are some commercials in the break. When we come back, we'll answer all your questions. And I have an announcement for those of you who are either managers or you are running a business by yourself. So you are either an entrepreneur or you are a manager in corporate. If you are one of these persons running your own business, intend to run your own business, or you are a manager, or let me add, potential manager, you are in succession to become a manager, we are going to announce a date where we are having what we call strategy session, a free, open strategy session. It's a one-day event to appreciate the business environment and the strategic outlook and how to plan for your organization for the financial year 2026. It's a free program, nobody pays anything, an open uh, strategy session for the outlook of 2026 financial year. You must be in a management position or you run a business of your own as an entrepreneur to qualify to participate. It will be both in person and online. So those of you who want to come to in person, our institute is the Institute of Leadership and Strategy. We are located at East Legon on the Lagos Avenue stretch right behind GT Bank. It's going to be free, but you have to register because we need to admit you in person. Otherwise, you won't have a seat. But those of you, it will be streaming live on all social media platforms. Those of you want to also join. But those specific announcements, including the dates and all of that, will come after the short commercial break, where I will also be answering questions for the next 17 minutes, because 4 o'clock on dot will bring the conversation to an end. Thank you. Let's have a quick break. I'll be back shortly.
Certification Center commits to a higher standard.
All right, thank you so much. So we would respond to a couple of questions, after which I will give the announcement on the free strategy session. For those of you in management roles or you are in succession to become a manager, we do strategy sessions for quite a number of organizations, particularly in the first quarter, January, February, March. We help organizations on how to plan for the year, how to set strategic direction, their budgeting system, etc. But we also realize that there are so many companies that have no idea how strategy, because we just go and put goals together. On personal note, you can set goals. But if it's a business, strategy goes beyond just having itemized goals. You need to understand the organization's external environment. Then you now come with the goals and objectives, and then we need to make strategic choices as to what the company will do, will not do, how to beat the competition, etc. We'll give announcement on that in the next few minutes, and then we'll call it a short, an evening. But before we get there, a couple of questions that is coming. Michael Opoko says, how do I reduce my debt and save more? Michael, we have to understand the debt structure first and foremost before we help you on how to reduce them. There is good debt and there is bad debt. If you have ever read this book, OPM, how to use debt to generate more revenue or asset, then that debt is not a good one. It's a good one. We will not advise you to even be thinking about reducing them until you are able to demonstrate return on the debt. But if it is a personal debt, most of the time comes from lifestyle, and that you need some financial literacy. Like I mentioned, more than 90% of educated persons in Ghana don't know anything about money. All right. Not even some of our professors who teach us. Most of them don't know what money. He has academic knowledge, but no. So I would just encourage you. Maybe you want to start from the Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you don't read it meditatively, you think it's just a motivational book. Then you read there are so many books, but beyond that, maybe you have to look out for one of our financial literacy um, seminars or workshops that will help you. But it is more of a lifestyle to get into debt. And the first thing to do is to be sure. Jerry Rollins said, the wisest thing to do when you find yourself in the pit is to stop digging. So the first thing to do is to find a way to stop accumulating more debt. Then we now come to how do you come out of the debt and start building, real wealth. The goal is to be financially independent. You may not be a rich man, you may not be a wealthy man, but everybody must seek to be financially independent. One of the litmus tests of financial independence is if you don't earn income for 5 years, 5 years is 60 months, will you still live a normal, comfortable life? When you get there, then you know that you are now financially independent. You may not be a wealthy man where you swim in wealth and affluence, but you don't need to talk to anybody to solve your financial problems. You don't need to wait for monthly salary or income before you can pay your bills. That is the goal. I can't promise, but we will see whether we want to do another session on how to gain financial independence. My administrators online, please take note of it. As much as I'm not promising, we'll consider if we have some time later in January, we'll see whether we can do a session on how to attain financial independence. We are not teaching you how to be worthy or swim in wealth and affluence, but how to be comfortable financially. So, Michael, look out for that if we will be able to run it for you. But whether it's coming from us or not, seek knowledge. Where you keep your focus is where you make your impact. Tell yourself, I want to know and understand money. That will help you a lot, right? Now, Jibodi Hosi, this is a person known to me. Chief, thank you so much for joining. Jibodi want to find out, knowing what to do is value. How then do you measure it? You will first and foremost, you have to know what you want to do, like you mentioned. You'll be able to measure it if knowing what to do follows the SMART acronym. Make sure it is specific, make sure it is measurable, make sure it is actionable. Stop having wishful thought. Name it. I want to have good health. It's not a goal. I want to have enough money. It's not a goal. How much is enough money for you? This year, I want to learn a lot. How many skills do you want to acquire? Have you named the skills? Until you do that, you will not even know the actions to take in order to achieve that. And once you do that, it becomes clear on how to measure. If I tell myself I want to make 15 million cedis in 2026, okay, let's say 5 million. I want to make 5 million cedis in 2026. If I'm not able to make it, I know I can measure. But it is when I do not name the goal being 5 million, then I wouldn't know whether I have achieved it or not. Let's go to the next question, please. Right. Somebody is saying that is Stephen Somwa. Is value same as idea? No. The idea is generic. Wow, everybody does it. But my idea is to manufacture a car. There's a difference between Opel and Mercedes. So the value is the attention to details you provide. Okay. And I don't want to go into business strategy now, but I have seen too many businesses target everybody. No, you will soon confuse the market. You must know what you are delivering. So when we are teaching strategy, we look at it from the corporate level. Now, the courage to choose is the heart of strategy, because every addition takes something from the old in strategy. All right. So you develop strategy at the corporate level where you are making choices. This year, we want to grow the organization to this extent. So we set goals in the growth. We look at our asset acquisition, our sales numbers, our revenue, even the revenue. Are we driving revenue by volume or by value? Then you set goals on market expansion and what have you, and blah, 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 blah. Otherwise, this is a business that have attained much and you want to consolidate and protect your gains. So you have a stability strategy to run for the year. Otherwise, you may even want to run a retrenchment strategy, etc. That is at the corporate level. Then you come down to the business level and you are making choices between differentiation or cost leadership strategy or focus strategy. And these decisions can be made for every single product line of the organization. Then you now come to the functions. Because of this, what do we get marketing department to do? What should the finance department do? What should the operations department do? We can't just be going through financial year as business as usual. Your organization may not outcompete or may collapse before you know it, because high sales is not even tantamount to growth. People are making sales, making money, but they are not building systems and structures. They don't have clear-cut strategy. In other words, when the environmental dynamics or factors begins to change, that organization begins to have a lot of difficulty. So that formulating a strategy is fundamentally about relating the organization to its environment. That is why we will also take you through how to put in place measurement and review mechanisms. Because the moment the external factors start changing, the organization's internal changes must begin to commensurate those exogenous or external factors. Otherwise, the organization then begins to have challenges and may get out of the system. So beyond the idea is to make a decision. This is the direction we will go. That is defining the what. The how to get there becomes a different ball game altogether. Thank you. If there's any other question, let's have it before we give the big announcement, and then we are out of here. This is coming from my own brother, Prosper Jiche. He says, how do you translate your vision into action in the face of financial challenges? My answer is simply planning. Lack of planning is what has been responsible for many individual and organization failures, much more than money. Now, I didn't say money is not important. Anytime I tell people where we started from with the HR Certification Center, with the Institute of Leadership and Strategy, sometimes people doubt it. In fact, I tell people that I started these organizations with what I choose to call attitude cities. If today our organization's total asset or total wealth is near 100 million Ghana cedis, we built it, 1, by God's grace, 2, by leadership, 3, by strategy and hard work. And we built it nearly out of nothing. And I always tell people, we owe nobody. No bank in this country can say we owe him as of today. Maybe tomorrow we may take a loan, but today we don't owe anybody, dead or alive. We built we translated a vision to action that has blessed lives and have touched many managers and companies in Ghana. And in this year, 2026, we are attempting other African countries, Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. These 3 countries, we are expanding our operations to those ones. It is just because decisions are made and strategies are put into place after we have prayed for wisdom, for good health. We have folded sleep sessions and we go to action to get results on this. And so determination, focus, prosper is what gets the job done, much, much more than finance. It is planning that tells where to put which money. And of course, I always take advantage to talk about values. If you have values, from leadership to integrity, to community consciousness, to professionalism, and what have you, especially the integrity and the ethics bit, money most of the time doesn't have difficulty coming into your hand and staying within your premises. Because I always say money is looking for a good place to be. It doesn't like recklessness. It doesn't like carelessness. It doesn't like indiscipline. If there's any other question, let's take it before we get out of here. Ruby is asking, Ruby Chinebua, what constitutes your goals? First and foremost, your goal will start from your decision. You must start first by asking yourself, what do I want? What do I want? Too many people are running their lives based on God's time is the best, and what is yours will never pass you by. That religious deception that too many people have fallen for. What is yours will never pass you by. Well, keep waiting. It will pass you shame like speed of light if you don't start planning and setting goals for yourself. All right. So I would say that you first and foremost must be very clear what you want to achieve, which direction. You can't do everything. The power to make choice is very important in this life. So, what do you want? Now, this is what Bill Gates said, founder of Microsoft. He said, those who determine very early in their lives what they want to do with their lives and stick to it most of the time have higher and better chances of succeeding than those who do not make clear decisions, where the wind carries you everywhere it decides. So you must start by making a decision. What do I want? Ambition is the seed of all great accomplishments. When Benjamin Dabra was appointed managing director of Barclays Bank, now ABSA, at the age of 36, I went to his office to congratulate him. And when I asked him, how did you get here? One of the first things he told me is that the day he got into the bank as an intern to do internship, he told himself, one day, I want to become managing director of the bank. If you care to know, Benjamin Debra didn't read banking in the university. He read land economy at KNUST and later read credit management at the University of Hull in the UK. That's all. But he told himself he wants to become MD and told himself that should happen in 15 years' time. Guess what? He accomplished it in 9th year. Counting 9 years from the day he stepped at the bank as an intern, not a staff, to do internship. Ambition. Now, because of that ambition, being clear in his mind that he wants to become managing director for a financial house as a bank, in the absence of that vision, you will not network. And in Ghana, when we talk about connection, it connotes negativity. I'm talking about networking. Without that, he won't go for the experiences required to become an MD. He will not go for the lessons. Benjamin Dabra said he went to the interview. He presented a first degree to the panel. All other candidates presented a first degree too. He gave them a master's degree. All others also gave a master's degree. But he pulled out 84 seminars, workshops, professional courses, certification programs. The others didn't have that. And then he told them he had a better solution to the problems of this bank than all others would have. Listen, folks, no matter how important something is, the moment it becomes common, it loses significance. It must be uncommon to be significant. If everybody has it, I want to close on this Bible story, how 10 virgins were going to meet their grooms. And Bible described 5 as foolish and the other 5 as wise. If you read that passage carefully, you will notice how all 10 were dressed up for the wedding. All 10 had lanterns carried in their palms. All 10 were on time. All 10 had oil in their lanterns. Why did Bible still describe 5 as foolish and the other 5 as wise? Because they are the wise 5, the 5 wise ones carried extra oil. For it to be significant, it must be uncommon. The 90% what they do will not be you. You will do things differently. You will go the extra mile. You will pay attention to details. You will acquire skills. You will be excellent at what you do. You will achieve global standard, a perspective and not just be a local champion. And that, if you ask me, will create the much more difference between you and the other. So on Wednesday, the 14th of January, January 14, we are hosting a free open strategy session. You must either be in a management position or you are an entrepreneur who runs your business, because it's not going to be about personal life, health, how to achieve good. No, it's about planning for the business to compete, to focus on its goals and strategize and have competitive advantage over others. That is happening on Wednesday, January 14. Look out for our announcement. You follow us on social media. That is Institute of Leadership and Strategy. I'm sure you all know our hotline already. If you want to register, you contact the hotline 0244 268672, 0244 268672. You'll be helped. If you don't register and you are not given a seat, please don't come, because we will not admit you. We normally get overcrowded and we want to control the crowd. We are taking a minimum number, in fact, 50 people in person. The rest can all join online to even understand how to develop, how to formulate a strategy for an organization, or how to come up with a strategy session. Sometimes you go and gather in the Sugar Cafe, all you do is to set goals, and then you say we are from strategy session. No, strategy goes beyond just itemized goals for the organization to achieve. You must achieve synchronicity, congruency. There must be coherence between the corporate level, the business unit strategies, and what every function must do. Then we help you to how to develop a budget that resonates with that strategic direction you want to give to your organization. So once you contact us or follow us on social media, Institute of Leadership and Strategy, otherwise you contact our hotline. Administrators will help you, but right on Monday, you'll see the flyers all over the place. You must be in a management position, I say again, or be an entrepreneur, and the form will require that you give us evidence in order to be admitted into that session. On behalf of the management team of Institute of Leadership and Strategy, on behalf of HR Certification Center that partnered me as an individual, I might be the founder of these two organizations, but I'm doing this in my own accord as Jeff Bassay. But these two organizations have partnered me. We want to say a big thank you to you for your time, for these 2 hours you had been with us. We are looking forward to having you enrolled. Those of you who are HR professionals or want to get into HR, you may want to take advantage to certify. We run professional certification in HR. Certify by engaging the hotline of the HR Certification Center, 0244 122 855, 0244 122 855. You will be given all the details on how to become a globally certified professional in HR. We passed out over 5,000 persons from all the great companies across the country, and you can also certify. It's a 6-month course, and you are certified. We want to say a big thank you to you and to sincerely wish you a happy and a fulfilling 2026. We hope that by the end of December 2026, we will be praising God for granting us life, for granting us wisdom, for granting us good health. We will also want to congratulate you for delivering on your personal goals, because you are willing to change and to do something differently. So we look forward to being alive together. And first Saturday of 2027, which will be on the 2nd of January, we are having this session again. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Certification Center commits to a higher standard. Certification Center commits to a higher standard.